Hey there, let's keep going with TypeScript. This time we're diving into interfaces. So what are they and why do we even need them? In TypeScript, interfaces are used to define the shape of an object, what properties it should have and their types. They help developers write cleaner, more predictable code by clearly outlining the structure of data. Using interfaces improves code readability, prevents mistakes, and makes collaboration easier in larger projects. Let's start with an interface declaration. To define an interface, we use the interface keyword. Here, we're creating an interface called person. We open the curly braces and add two properties inside: name, which will be a string, and age, which will be a number. You can use either commas or semicolons between the properties. However, using semicolons is the more common convention. This interface describes a simple object with two properties: name and age. It acts like a blueprint for any object that wants to follow the person structure. Now we're creating an object called person1, and we assign the type of this object to the interface we just defined. We have to use the same properties that are defined in the person interface. So if we skip the age property, TypeScript will give us a property missing error. This is very similar to creating a class as a template and then making instances from it. In the same way with an interface, we're creating objects that follow a predefined structure or blueprint. All right, let's check it in the console. As you probably know, we use npx tsc to compile our TypeScript code. Once it's compiled and we run it, we should see Alice and 25 printed in the console. Now we're adding a new property to the object. As you can see, we get an error saying city does not exist. That's because the person interface doesn't include this property. To fix this, we can simply add the city property directly inside the person interface. And now, the error is gone. Alternatively, look at this. If we want to add a new property to an existing interface, we can declare another interface with the same name and include the new property there. TypeScript doesn't overwrite the original, it merges them. So in this case, it takes name and age from the first person declaration and city from the second one, combining all three into a single interface. Let's compile the code again and check the result in the console. As you can see, the interface has been successfully extended. But what if we want to reuse the properties of an existing interface in another one? In that case, we use the extends keyword. We create a new interface called student and extend it from person. Next, we add a new property to the student interface, a Boolean called isStudent. Now, when we create a new object with the student type, we can use all the properties that came from person. This way, student inherits all the properties from person. Now, we create a new object with the student type. If we skip the isStudent property, TypeScript will give us an error. Once we've added all the required properties, we log the object to the console to check it. We compile the code again and check the result. And as you can see, we've successfully reused properties from another interface. Now let's go over some general notes and key points. In TypeScript, interfaces are mainly used to describe the structure of objects. They cannot be used for primitive types like string, number, or Boolean. Interfaces with the same name can be declared multiple times. The compiler merges them into a single definition. To create a new interface based on an existing one, the extends keyword is used. And with that, we've completed the lesson. We've now seen how interfaces work with objects in TypeScript. In TypeScript, interfaces are used to define the shape of an object, what properties it should have, and their types. They help developers write cleaner, more predictable code by clearly outlining the structure of data. Think of an interface as a contract. If an object claims to follow it, it must include everything the interface describes. Using interfaces improves code readability, prevents mistakes, and makes collaboration easier in larger projects. We're coming to the end of the lesson. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Take care and have a great day.